welcome to another Monday Night Live, Wednesday Night Live at Cafe Gratitude. Yay! This is a special Wednesday edition. We do a weekly event every week on Mondays, Monday Night Live, and there are a lot of people that come through town and they're not available on a Monday. And we have to just let them go by because a weekly event is quite a lot of responsibility and effort and work for us. But when we find out someone like Dr. Clement is going to be in town and he's only in town on Wednesday, then we have a Wednesday Night Live. Yes. And we have a full house for this. Okay, first of all, how do you introduce Dr. Clement? It would take as much time as an actual event to list his accomplishments. So here's the short version. Dr. Brian Clement has spent more than 3 decades studying nutrition and natural health care. He's received graduate degrees in both naturopathic medicine and nutritional science. Since 1980, he has directed the Hippocrates Institute. You just don't look like it. I think they're pumping formaldehyde into the wheatgrass down there. Since 1980, he has directed the Hippocrates Institute's growth and development, as well as facilitated the implementation of such progressive natural health treatments as the living food diet, wheatgrass therapy, dark field microscopy, and the essentials of mind-body therapies. Over the years, Brian has assumed the role of health advocate, motivating a very eager public to take action and improve their lives. He's here to speak to you tonight on longevity and vitality, creating a disease-free future, and he'll be here after the event to sign books. So stick around. Here's Dr. Clement.
Well, it's very nice not to be in a big city. Last night it was Portland, Oregon. Just before that, it was Vancouver, and I'll be in Los Angeles in the next few days, in San Diego, etc. It's also nice to be here where Cafe Gratitude is, because I always express in the 40 years that I've done this, this is the only living food restaurant that I love eating in. Most of them have glorious bad mixtures that make you sick after you leave. And so this one is really based upon usable food, as I say. So let's give them a hand, and you a hand for organizing. We find ourselves in a very interesting and precarious position in the world today. What's happening is that there is a major schism between reality and fantasy. And sadly, fantasy has the microphone. And fantasy is being heavily funded by corporate interest, who, by the way, starting 50 years ago, realized that they didn't have to get the public to like them. They had to make the governments listen to them. And so worldwide, not only here in our country, you have governments that now practice for corporate interest and not for the citizens of those countries. And with that said, we've made some very precious and valuable things watered down. Number one, the most essential thing in our life is to have total and absolute freedom for our health. Today, we have less and less of that every single day. And things creep up on us, and we're all so busy, we sort of don't recognize what's happening. But I'll give a little history to you on this. It was only 1997 when the pharmaceutical corporations had a law passed in Washington that allowed them to advertise on television. Before 1997, there was no television advertising allowed for pharmaceutical interest. I just got back from an 11-country tour of Europe. 2 of the countries there are about ready to embark on the same insanity. So when the people come home from work in this world that we live in called the United States, they probably are coming from a job that they don't like. Probably a job that they were told they had to have to make a living. Because that living has to be increasingly more for them just to maintain. And we're slowly seeing a major river between the haves and the have-nots. So here they are, exhausted, not fulfilled, and of course, upset and trained to watch television. They plug the TV in, snap the finger, and have 800 channels to watch today. And with this exhaustion on happiness, every third commercial in prime time tells them they need drugs. Tells them you're unhappy, you're sad. And the pharmaceuticals are not making enough, obviously, so now they've convinced everyone that they're crazy. 3 years ago, the #1 drug now prescribed worldwide happens to be antidepressants. How many of you knew that? Now think about this. If we are prescribing more antidepressants than we are antibiotics, it must be a shitload. Because you can't go near a doctor without them giving you an antibiotic. So that means they've convinced people, because of their unfulfilled lives, that they have mental disorders. It doesn't stop there. Now they've actually stuck themselves into the middle of your family and convinced families that your children have mental illness. And they call them things like attention deficit disorder, which I think in great part is the children need vital attention, and they are not getting the love from their moms and dads anymore. They're not fulfilled as they were when I was a little boy. Maybe things were not perfect, but I knew what a mom and I knew what a dad was, and they were there for me. And so if you combine that with an astronomical amount of sugar and fat in their diets, you end up with a kid running around class and not able to sit down for more than 10 minutes. Now, the average American child consumes double their weight in sugar a year. How many of you knew that? So that means a 100-pound child consumes 200 pounds of sugar. Now, this is barbaric, to say the least. But nobody seems to be concerned about this. We just keep clicking and clicking and clicking, and when we become discontent, we can see the next pharmaceutical drug. They make up diseases, too. Not bad enough they have you all on drugs. As a matter of fact, statistically, in the United States, we consume double the amount of medicines, pharmaceutical medicines, than the second country per capita. Isn't that shocking? And now they tell you you have diseases that aren't diseases. What is auto reflux disease? When I was young, is you ate too much crap and you're regurgitating. Now it's a reflux disease, and basically they have a purple pill for it. And they have you marching down to the local doctor asking for that prescription. As a matter of fact, it was so successful when it first came out, when I would go out and speak at medical conferences and we'd be sitting around talking, doctors were joking and chuckling about it. And everyone unanimously told me around this country that literally patients were coming in and asking for the purple pill. 3 or 4 times I said to the doc, did they know what it was for? They said no, but they wanted it. Now, isn't that pretty frightening? That's not bad enough. When I was a kid and you sat in one position too long, you got something in your leg that we call tingles. Now it's restless leg syndrome. This is not a disease, people. This is, again, get up and move. Don't sit down in one position too long. But no, they have a disease they've made out of this. Now, this is who we are. And we better awaken, because we are on a collision course with death. And the scary news is we're not only doing it ourselves, we've now bestowed it upon our children. In the 40 years I've done the work, what is frightening for me is to see that younger and younger and younger and younger people are literally the sicker ones. We've actually had, in the last year, 29 children below 16 years old, 20 which had deadly cancers, either stage 3 or stage 4, come through Hippocrates. Do you know how many cancers I saw of children when I began this work? 1 every 6 months. That was it. And it wasn't a stage 4 when we saw it.